he may see that as success, probably by standards. But what does it do to the young voter that this person I look up to, who's a possible presidential contender, that's the kind of exchange they have?
Thank you, Fred. Let me answer this thing in four ways. One, Chapter 6 of the Constitution is very clear and on the operations and how the president, a holder of that office, should carry himself. But I want to remind Kenyans that when William Ruto in 2010 then opposed the 2010 Constitution and he was vigorously against that document, people thought that he was just doing political stunts and trying to get fame. But few years later, we've seen actually that this guy has never believed in this document, and over time he has violated and molested this document from chapter 1 to the final chapter. In the position of a president, it doesn't matter how much you are angered. You cannot go on a sunroof and start insulting and calling people names. On the issue, you saw him when he was in Kitale, and he really demeaned Honorable Eugene Wamalwa in Kitale at his home ground. A man he has met, he has sat with, and the wife he was claiming that Eugene doesn't have, William Ruto himself has met Eugene Wamalwa's family, wife, children, and the entire family in State House when he was a deputy president. And he's been to Kitale, his home, and have met those families. So, you see, when a president gets that low, the question Kenyans are asking, is this the right person to have occupied the office in the first place? Or he was just pretentious, but now he's now revealing himself? Fred, the president, in as much as he was agitated, and I want to use an analogy of a pig. Remember, he's on record calling the opposition leaders stupid, unprepared, and visionless. The moment you put a tag on somebody like that, and then they decide, okay, you called us stupid, let's act stupid. You get that? That's why Rigathi Gachagua was saying, tulitaka wakuje chini. Sasa tumepatana mahali. Because he's the one who put them there. He's the one who proclaimed that these guys are stupid, they don't have agenda, they are visionless. So they have brought him to the level of stupidity, and he's successfully come down. He must be reminded that...
Should Rigathi Gachagua see that as a win now?
Well, you cannot say it's a win, but remember the president pulled that trigger. But then, like she has mentioned, if you pull a trigger, you must be well aware of the action-reaction. If you pull a trigger, there must be a reaction. Secondly, thirdly to that issue, for me, I still believe that whatever the president did during his tour in Western, calling Eugene Wamalwa names and of course insulting the opposition, for me is a calculated attempt to divert the attention of Kenyans from the real issues. Because before that, we were talking about the takeover of Nairobi Hospital, which people have been asking and questioning. And remember, it's on record. The president was mentioned on that issue adversely. And he came out and said that he's the patron of the Nairobi Hospital. So then the Kenyans were asking, if you're the patron of Nairobi Hospital, then why was Dr. Obuaka being arrested? And why were doctors being arrested from the theater? What exactly is happening? And then Kenyans are asking, tell us, who is the patron of Kenyatta National Hospital? Who is the patron of Moi Teaching and Referral? Who is the patron of Mathare Hospital? So that we get to know that, okay, these hospitals have got patrons and so is the patron. Finally, the issue of 17 billion State House budget ya China mandazi recently, bado haijakauka, bado iko baridi. Kenyans are no longer talking about it. Nobody is talking about 11 billion anymore. Nobody is now talking about the crisis of the plight of Kenyans on issues of health, education, employment. Why? The president has strategically twisted the concentration of the country from the real issues into who is insulting who, yes, who is calling who names, and who knows who's sleeping with who.
I was really hoping that among the 4 points that you've very clearly articulated, that you would answer my question on the kind of impact that it has on the young voter, whom we were discussing just before the break, that these people are excited to register as voters, but looking up at the people that are eligible to run for president.
Fred, let me tell you this. Politicians are insulting themselves, and voters are watching. And like she mentioned, and you mentioned, majority of people who attend those rallies are young people, and they are watching. That is why I keep saying, young people who have been in the political space and have had the opportunity to lead other young people, like myself and my brother here and my sister here, offer yourself at the ballot. Mm-hmm. Top of the reasons why I'm going to run for Nairobi Senate is not just to compete other opponents, but to offer myself as an alternative choice vis-a-vis any other person who is running. Because I know and I believe there are young people in this county and in this country who believes that at the ballot they will vote for Ken Babu. That is the solution. Because we've seen the kind of character that is being portrayed. So then how do you criticize and you're not offering yourself to be an alternative? So then the way out is go to those rallies, listen to them, analyze, vet, and settle on a candidate that will respect the constitution and will act according to it.
But Brian, probably we're excusing this young vote